Hey everyone, it's Roger Ram the Hole with Fluent Mortgage, and today I've got a special guest with me, and we're gonna go into all types of things. Now, before I get into the fact that we're two Queens guys here in Melbourne, and what are we doing here together, let me introduce him. I got the man, the legend, the Rocket Man himself, Eugene Crockett, with me today. How's it going, Eugene?
I'm doing great, brother.
Ah, man, like I said, what are two Queens guys, New York guys, doing together here? On the Space Coast.
I don't know how that happened, but, for many years now, New Yorkers have been the Floridians. So it's just continuing to happen more and more.
Listen, I love the atmosphere. I love the fact that you have the beaches here, the lifestyle, being able to get outdoors. Now, we know a lot about that, right? In New York, once November comes around, you're kind of stuck indoors until like maybe March. You're going out to restaurants, but you're indoors.
Right.
Out here, it's different. It's like summer every single day in the sense that you could be outdoors, you can have a lifestyle, you can go to the beach, you can go. I mean, there's so much that you could do.
Exactly. And I think it actually makes people feel better. One thing that we were talking about, that since you've been out here, how nice everybody is to you.
It's amazing. Everyone actually stops. They say hi to you. They greet you. You have a conversation. I mean, just yesterday, we were there having lunch, and the owner for the restaurant comes and has a 15, 20-minute conversation with us, right? I mean, that doesn't naturally happen.
Right, exactly. The owner of Urban Prime, which was a great guy, obviously.
That's right. Love that spot, by the way. So how long have you been out here? Obviously, look, I know when it comes to real estate, you're someone that a lot of people look up to. You've been doing this for quite some time. You're exceptionally successful in what you do. So, I mean, how long have you been here, and what is it about the Space Coast real estate that really, you love what you do, man? I see it. The energy's there. I mean, let people know, especially that might be looking in New York or anywhere that's looking to relocate in Florida but don't know where to go, right? So talk a little bit about how long you've been doing this, specifically in this area, and what you think kind of sets you apart, and what sets apart this area from everywhere else in Florida.
So I moved out here around 12 years ago. I've been a licensed real estate agent for 17 years. I'm sorry, excuse me, 7 years.
Okay.
And there's a couple of key reasons why I think the Space Coast, Melbourne, Brevard County. The first thing is I always like to look at real estate as an investment, from my background as being a stockbroker. So when you mention areas like Brevard, growing up, I used to go to Broward County, right? So Broward, that's Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
The fact that when I mention Brevard County, 8 out of 10 people get it confused with Broward, to me, I see that as good opportunity, that there's still great upside to buy property here, whether you live here or invest here. Then I live in Vieira. And Vieira is an up-and-coming top 10 master plan community in the whole country. But when I say Vieira to everybody, they all say Vero.
Right.
So I look at those as some opportunities that we can continue to grow, because the growth is not baked into the cake. Not everybody knows about it.
So it's so funny because I actually talked a little while ago about over 2023, right, year over year, the difference in appreciation in New York City and in Melbourne, right? I focus specifically on that. Did you know that in New York City, they saw a price decrease, not appreciation, but a decrease of almost 3%, whereas in Melbourne, they saw a price appreciation of almost 5%. That's a huge difference, right?
Yes, it's
because you don't
significant.
think when you're in New York, you don't ever think that prices decrease, much less by 3%, because you're always thinking, oh, home prices are always going up. But you just said it, right? The beauty of down here is that there's still a ton of appreciation. So whether you're an affordability, so whether you're a first-time home buyer with a family, someone that's looking to buy a vacation home, or even an investor, like, there is something here for everyone, right? And then you were talking about, which I want you to just hone in on, because I think a lot of people might have heard it, but not really, paid attention to what you just said there. You said you live in Vieira, and it's a master plan community. A lot of people don't understand what that means. Can you talk a little bit about that?
A master plan community, it starts off technically with homes, but just the infrastructure to handle all that growth that's happening. You know, we're talking about hospitals close. We're talking about VA that's nearby. We're talking about within good proximity to the highways. Schools, top A-rated schools, businesses that are coming there. And then within inside of those communities, a lot of different amenities that they offer, which is something that's very big here in Florida.
Yeah, and I think from what I read, Viera is in the top 3 in the country, or in the top 10, like you just said, but like in the top 3 or 5.
It used to be 25, and now we've worked our way into
the 10,
yeah,
right?
Into the 10,
and it's still growing, it's still booming, it's still thriving, and I mean that's I think what the average person or family is looking for, right? Like just a great place to live where I can, raise my kids, not really have to worry about crime, but just being able to enjoy my surroundings, the outdoors. And that's really what around here offers.
And, another thing that's really important to understand is we need to have work. When you relocate and you come here, there has to be job opportunities. And Brevard County as a whole has become the space, I don't know.
Or
I don't
capital in a sense.
Yeah, I don't want to
right?
say, it's basically the hub
Yeah.
of the whole country now. So
Yes.
when you hear the Space Force,
Yes.
okay, I drive 10 minutes and I go right by Patrick Air Force Base, which
Yep.
has been renamed Space Force.
That's right.
So it's a great military community. There's a lot of military people out here. And then when you talk about jobs, there are so many engineering opportunities. There's so many technology opportunities. So the economics are really strong here because as home prices continue to gradually go up, we need the right jobs. People have to make the right income in order to afford these homes.
Now, you touched on something that's really important, right? Because I know a lot of people outside of Florida still think and consider Florida just to be a tourist type of a place, right? So it's like, oh, it's great to go to Disneyland, but, that's about it, right? Like, it's great to go on vacation and spend a week, but that's about it because they don't have jobs. They don't have great paying jobs. They don't have a place that I could support my family. And so they think that, I've got to keep working wherever they are, whether it's in the Northeast or Midwest or wherever it is. I've got to keep working, make the money, and then if I want to relocate, 10, 15, 20 years down the line. But it's changed. And you just said it, right? Whether it's through technology, whether it's through engineering. I mean, there are some really great companies here, but are still relocating here too. And we've seen a huge job boom and growth in the area, right?
Right, exactly. And I don't really have those numbers in front of me now, but when I looked at last year's numbers, basically 1 out of every 5 jobs or 6 jobs that was created in the United States last year was in Florida.
Wow.
And I think Florida as a whole represented probably about 12% of the GDP of the whole country.
That's amazing.
And, part of it is you're getting people coming from different states. This used to be known more as a retirement place.
Right.
But what I think has happened over the years as more jobs have happened and the school systems have gotten better and the quality of life has gotten better out here, you're starting to see a lot of these people who would visit their parents and grandparents have started to say, wow, this is actually a place that we can live. And you get an immediate benefit in your income because you don't pay any state taxes.
Right.
So there's so much going, and you got Disney and you got all the attractions and everything.
And even for business owners, right? I mean, I think that's one of the things, at least that I hear a lot coming out of New York. People are looking for that business opportunity. And there's a lot of restrictions in the Northeast, whether it's New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. There's still a lot of restrictions when it comes to businesses. But, the thing that a lot of these business owners and entrepreneurs love is like Florida's got open arms. They're welcoming businesses. They're making it better for them to be able to grow and build their businesses. And I think that is something that's really led a lot of people to say, hey, something? I want to go where my business is welcomed. I want to go where someone's looking at me saying, hey, we're happy to maybe lower taxes or offer incentives or give you certain types of tax breaks or breaks so that you can build your business out here, right? So that's, I think, the appeal of a lot of business owners outside of the state that attracts them down here.
I totally agree. I mean, at the end of the day, we all get up and we want to be able to not have to worry about our bills and lifestyle, and being a stockbroker, I saw what too much regulation did. It really crippled the market in New York
Yeah.
for a while.
Yeah.
And so by having less regulations, it really opens up the opportunity.
Yeah. And I think that's a great point because, as you said, I mean, we're both from New York, love New York. It made us who we are, right? But you get to a place when you now have a family and you're thinking about, well, putting a roof over their head, providing a meal for them. You want to really be in a place that is not going to restrict you from that, right? And so I think that's the appeal of why a lot of people are making that move out of New York City. And I mean, it's sad because I love New York. I always will. But I think, unfortunately, there's just way too many restrictions for people to do what they need to do. And so you add in cost of living, taxes, home prices. I mean, it could go on and on and on. But I think that's where people are looking at, hey, you know what? It's come to that time where I got to go outside of New York. And the one thing I hear all the time is, well, I want to, consider Florida, but I'm not sure. Should I go on the West Coast? Should I go on the East Coast? And me personally being here on the Space Coast, I think it's a hidden gem. And just going back to what you just said earlier, in terms of price appreciation, in terms of quality of life, I mean, yeah, a lot of people think about Miami or Orlando, but those markets are saturated, right? And you're paying a premium on those prices. Whereas somewhere like here, think about that proximity to Orlando, right? I mean, you could be here up in Orlando in 50 minutes,
right?
But you're not paying the type of prices that you're paying in Orlando down here, right? So I think a lot of people should consider talking to someone like Eugene that's thinking or, planning to maybe make a move into Florida, and let him really show you the details, break it down, break the numbers down, break the cost down in terms of what it would be like to live down here, right?
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And, what's really interesting, and every time I share this to people, they're surprised, because when you think about the major areas in Florida, we think about Orlando, we think about Tampa, we think about Jacksonville, we think about Miami.
Mm-hmm.
We're not thinking about Melbourne that much.
Right.
Well, U-Haul tracks every single person that rents one of their trucks.
Yeah.
Okay, and they track one way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because they want to see where people are going to. And in the whole country last year, Melbourne, Palm Bay, so that's what they designate Brevard County as far as U-Haul is concerned, the number one-way trips of people coming here. And they're not just, if it's a one-way trip, this is where their new home, this is where they're staying.
Right.
So I would say, if you are thinking about coming to Florida, and I could vouch for this area, you want to start taking a real consideration, because the more demand that comes, the more people that comes here, that leads to higher prices for anything that any person would want, whether it's a home or any product out there. So I really think you guys should start taking a more serious look at the Melbourne area, the Brevard County area.
Now, you're one of the top agents. I mean, and that's a numbers thing. That's me actually, talking facts. You're one of the top agents in Brevard. What would you say are some of the things that you think separates you from other agents? I mean, obviously, I can tell about your energy. I can, in just speaking with you, see that there's a genuine care to help people, right? So what do you think are some of the things that really separates you and has led to your success than maybe some of the other people?
I think first and foremost, being responsive. As it's a cliche a lot, answer your phone.
But it's true, right?
But, if you answer your phone all the time and you're responsive in some way, shape, or form, you're already in the top 10%.
Mm-hmm.
I also believe that I don't talk the talk. I actually walk the walk.
Mm-hmm.
And my clients see that. I don't get caught too much. I don't, if I make a mistake, I learn from it. It's actually, that's when you get success, from the mistakes, from those failures. So I'm a really nice person, very genuine, but I also am a killer.
Mm-hmm.
All right, a killer.
And you're going to work for your client.
A killer means that you you're not afraid to say what may seem like you're scratching up a chalkboard, like you're almost nervous at the time you're saying it. But at the end of the day, it's not easy selling a home.
Right.
It is not. And so I really show by my actions that I work harder than anybody out there. And I just have a different way. When people give me the typical responses that a buyer and seller would say, and they're very real and genuine. They're real concerns. Everybody has basically the same concerns. I have a great job at taking a bird's eye point of view, assessing it, and then coming up with a response that, wow, why didn't I think about that? That actually makes sense.
Right.
And I just believe that as far as realtors are concerned, don't be complacent, right? If you have a momentum, right, persistence will break through resistance.
I like that.
So every day you're chipping away and you're not thinking that you're moving the ball, but you certainly are moving the ball. And don't let anybody ruin your integrity.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I have walked away from deals because I'm not going to let anybody question my integrity.
Wow.
And I'm the same person. Even when I was desperate coming into this business, people did not know. I have clients after they've seen some of my reels. They're like, Eugene, I tracked. You were one of my first clients.
Wow.
I never, ever knew that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And see, I could tell just the passion that you have. And you just said it, like, you can't settle. You're always trying to better yourself. I know you just came back from a mastermind, so you're always looking at ways to develop yourself, to grow, to build, to be better. And so who's going to benefit from that? Obviously the people that you work for. And I think that killer side of things is the queen side coming out. But, the beauty of it is that it pushes you to be better. It's just, you want to be better and not just for the number side of it. You want to be better for your client side of it, and I think that's really what kind of has catapulted you in a sense, put you on that rocket, going to where you're going, man. And I am excited that we had this opportunity to sit down and to talk. And I think anyone that's looking at this can really see your knowledge and your passion for what you do, and this area. So they should definitely reach out to you if they're considering it. They want to know, again, because a lot of people have, especially in the Northeast, have money right now that they want to invest in, but they just don't know where. They're scared to do it in New York because of the tenant laws, right? Tenants have a lot more rights in New York than they do down here. So people are like, look, I'm scared to buy an investment property in New York, but I want to go somewhere else and buy something. And like you just said, with the chance to appreciate and value the location, I mean, that's why they need to do it down here.
100%. Yeah, I totally agree. What I will say as far as being successful is really just being yourself. And I think a lot of my success has come from my family. My daughters really, just being able to see that they're having such a better childhood, which I don't take anything back. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But just seeing that they're having a better childhood, and they've had to watch me the first years, really grind it out, take them on 2 open houses on a Sunday, from one open house to another, and just seeing me come up that way. And I think that's, teachers have a hard responsibility, right? They can only teach certain things as a curriculum, but teaching hard work and seeing it firsthand. And then just seeing that, my daughter will say, Dad, you're the best realtor ever. And I'm still very humble. I think that's a great part. If you have a family and you're struggling, that is your shining light. You just realize that you're doing it for them, and just put your head down. And I'm always available. Realtors, whether you're in New York, whether you're with EXP or not, pick up the phone, because when you help somebody, I truly believe that's the way we get better as people.
Absolutely. Eugene, listen, man, I appreciate the time that you took today to come out and talk about this, share your insights. I definitely had a great time. I mean, we were reminiscing about, some of the things that when you think about Queens, what comes to mind.
White Castle.
White Castle.
New York Mets.
New York Mets. There we go.
Melting pot.
Melting pot. I mean, listen, I've got to go obviously with the pizza, and I got to go with the bagel. I mean,
That's the obvious.
That is the obvious,
Bacon,
right?
bacon, egg, and cheese.
There you go. That's it. Bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll.
And I miss a beef patty with cocoa bread too, or a chicken patty.
He knows it. So anyway, Eugene, thank you so much for being a part of this, man.
Yes.
And as I said, folks, you definitely need to reach out to him. He's a great guy. Even if you just want to just have a great conversation, man, he's amazing. So thank you once again.